a quick note before we move on here about swatching these shades. It's really going to look different depending on your skin type and skin tone. Okay, I am what foundation colors usually consider to be light skin, not fair skin, but light. I also have a cool olive and pink undertone. I'm going to go into what that means a little more in another video, but it's very much going to matter what your undertone is as much as the shade of your skin as far as what these are going to look like. I've tried to keep a very clean slate on what I'm going to swatch for you, but just keep that in mind. It really is going to vary a lot for this particular palette. So starting with row 1 from left to right like I usually do with these, first we have Ice, which is a shimmery white, and it looks so in the pan. Next is Delicate, which is what I would consider to be a fair skin tone matte. Vanilla Latte, which looks a little bit more warm in the pan, and it certainly does in the swatch as well. I don't know if you can even see that though on the camera. The next one's called Nothing Else. There's a little bit of glitter on my skin right now. This is a little more peachy pinky. All or Nothing is next. This is more what I would call a tan or a beige. That means different things to everybody though, so call it what you want. Undercover is next. This is what I typically use to set my lids. It's a little darker peach than these two. And then finally Raw Sienna, which is another tan, a bit darker than this one here. Next is Bare Necessity. A little lighter than this one, obviously darker than the rest. It's warm, but I see it as very slightly warm. It's more neutral. The next one is Toast, which is a cooler toned brown, light brown. Maple Syrup, which you can kind of see the undertone comparatively to this one, that this is much more orange. It's probably the most orange in this shade range. It's kind of a terracotta. Okay. Nutmeg, very similar to this one in the swatch. It's a little bit lighter, I think. Hazel, which is getting more into the medium browns. Pulls a little more cool, in my opinion. Warm and Cozy is next. I see a little bit of red in this brown. And then Cinnamon is last. Let me just go ahead and put it down here. Cinnamon is very orangey, again, almost terracotta. On my skin type, it looks similar to these two. All right, the next two rows are shimmery. The first two were matte. Starting row 3, we've got Starry Eyed, which is a nice peachy shimmer. Next we have Honesty, which is definitely a peachy shimmer and makes this one look more like a pinky shimmer. Lumos, which is of course a Harry Potter reference. This is pink, but kind of more of a coppery pink. So it's got a lot of brown in it. Okay. Polished. Let's get that right up next to it. This is a more orange shimmer. All of these, of course, are within the realm of brown of some sort or skin shades. I don't know anybody that has an orange shimmer skin, but hey, it's pretty. Hashtag Winning is the next one. This is a very golden shimmer. Success. I am so bad at doing metallics. Now this one looks gold and this one looks more bronzy. Sorry, I need to take a class in naming metallic colors, apparently. Salted caramel is next. Copper, maybe? Copper, bronze in the middle is what I'm seeing there. The next was an easy one though. This is on to row 4. This is First Prize. Definitely a gold. I know this one. Definitely a gold. Yay. Lucky Penny is this, of course, penny, coppery, bronzy. Looks a lot like this one, but this one pulls a little more orange. This is called Icon. This is a much more icy brown shimmer. Very much cool tones, especially lined up next to those others there. Brown Sugar is next. This has a little more red in it than the last one. Look at how pigmented these are. They're beautiful. Tiger Eye is next. This is an even more gray brown with some gold in it. It's interesting how it can be cool toned and yet have some gold in it, which is more of a warm color. Decadence is next. This is a darker version of this reddish brown shimmer. And then Rebel, which is the darkest of all of these. It's like a, I was going to say sepia toned, but this is probably a neutral since I've been staring at it and I can't decide whether it's warm or cool. It's a dark brown shimmer. Okay, so row number 5 is the last one of the dark browns, and then it gets into grays. So the first one in row 5 is Slow Motion. This is a cool toned brown matte. Tempting. Now that I have this one down there, I see this one is even more cool toned than this. Now I can see some reds in this one. This is a perfect example of how different they can look next to different kinds of browns, i.e. skin tones. This one's called Hot Cocoa. It's got a little bit more red in it. Next one is called Earth. Looks almost identical to this one, to be honest. It's a little more black, I'm gonna say, like a little darker. Take a Hike is next. This is getting really hard. It's different, but I don't know how. I don't know how to explain it. They're all brown. Grizzly is next. This is the darkest so far. It's definitely got some black in it. And then After Dark is, of course, the darkest brown. Now, obviously, there are people with skin tones that are very different from these. It is not, by any means, a complete set of skin tones, but I think any skin tone would be able to make these work for them, especially if you're doing a neutral eye or a smoky eye with neutral colors. So you might not find your exact skin match here. I do find that, especially with the lighter colors, they tend to pull more warm. There's fewer cool ones in here. Let's go ahead and move on though. All of these have been matte. This is now getting into the grays. The first one is Shimmery. It says Silver Lining, but I'll show you there's a typo on it. So the L is right after the R in silver, so it actually says Silveral Inning. But this is a nice shimmery silver. Urban is next. The Silver Lining makes a good inner corner. This is a slate gray, cool toned matte. City of Smoke is next. This is a little more shimmery. Another medium gray. Gotta love the name here. This is called Throw Shade. It's the darkest gray so far. Definitely pulling cool. It has a little bit of like a purple in it. Gunmetal Groove is a shimmer. Slate gray, very pigmented shimmer. Next is Drama, which kind of combines the brown and gray. It has some black and golds in it. Very pretty. And the last one is just a straight up black matte called Illicit. So here are rows 5 and 6. So here's the palette after all the swatches. Some of them have this iconic bee a little bit rubbed off now. This is not the first time I've used this though, so there's a couple of dips into these pans. Like I said during the video, you're not necessarily going to find your skin tone in here. I bought this trying to get a really nice color gradient to find other people's bronzer colors, contour colors, things like that, and obviously they're not going to have a shimmer skin, and there tends to be a lot more warms in here, so I wouldn't call this a, you know, complete set of skin tones, but it's a great start, and you can kind of use it to help you find your shades. I, for example, don't really have a great contour shade in here. I do have a video where I use this to make a smoky eye, so I will link that up above and below. But it's a beautiful palette. I'm not one to say, that's a gorgeous brown color. Like, browns are just kind of okay for me, but I am glad I got this. It's really helpful to see them all together. And I like the silveries, grays below as a contrast, and it's always good to have a matte black in your collection when you've got a palette this big, so you don't have to pull out any other palettes. So yeah, that's the Beauty Bay Nude palette. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. I'm gonna try to fit the next, how many are there? 7 at the top here. We'll see how that goes. I need to be better at getting these swatches together. I'm gonna run out of room again. Orange. Orange, you glad I don't know metallics? Such a nerd. Where are we? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 1, 2. This is called Icon. I don't, they're all brown. Like, it's hard to explain. Is the camera running? Please have the camera be running. Yes, okay. This is a bit reddish, which makes sense for Take a Hike. It's like that reddish dirt. What am I even talking about? Cut that out. And the first one is Silvery. I'm sorry. Which is a cool toned gray. Can grays be warm? Probably. Anyway.